All of humankind's modern traditions are based on historical origins that have been tweaked for our modern times. Christmas is no different. But how far off are we now from the original Christmas characters of old? This video will show you how bizarre, sinister, and terrifying these creatures were, from the witches of Iceland and Sweden to the goblins of Germany, and possibly the character that started the Santa story. Keep watching Intrigued Minds' obscure Christmas folklore characters. Christmas is approaching, and children are sending letters to Santa Claus, Father Christmas, or Père Noël, depending on where they live. Santa is hardly the oddest figure in Christmas tradition, regardless of how unusual it may seem to get presents from a jolly fat man riding a sleigh driven by flying reindeer, which may also be steeped in its own sinister roots. Over the millennia, stories passed down from parents to children and embellished with each retelling have spawned an assortment of peculiar holiday characters. Here are some of the strangest and most obscure beasts, devils, and animals that may visit you this Christmas. Stay tuned till the end of this video for the most terrifying of all the obscure characters throughout history. Christmas is just around the corner, so treat yourself to early access to videos and live chats with the creator of Intrigued Mind by subscribing to our Patreon. Your support will greatly help us keep the channel producing more intriguing content. Our first stop takes us to Germany. This is where Frapphta spreads her Christmas terror. Parts of the German and Austrian Alps are inhabited by a terrifying creature that may be friendly or deadly, depending on how hard you have worked. Frapphta may have descended from the pagan faiths that governed the area before the arrival of Christianity, but she has preserved a prominent position in the contemporary world, and her role is horrific. Frapphta is often shown as an elderly woman with an animalistic appearance and a lengthy robe. Under that lengthy robe, she conceals a sharp knife. During the 12 days of Christmas, Frapphta visits households, and if she encounters a well-behaved child, she may feel compelled to give them a small gift. If she finds a disobedient child, she pulls out her knife. So what criteria does Phta use to decide whether a child has been misbehaving? She examines your textile spinning. Frapphta will disembowel you with a knife if you've not spun all your wool or flax into yarn by the conclusion of 12th night of Christmas. After removing your internal organs, she would fill you up with straw and put you back together. This is a far cry from the coal or present narrative of the modern Santa. Our next obscure Christmas characters are a bunch of lumberjack ghouls. The Kalikansuri apparently populate all of Southeast Europe. These subterranean ghouls are small, black, and extremely mischievous. You are most likely to encounter them during the 12 days of Christmas, since they spend most of their spare time before Christmas trying to destroy the planet from inside the Earth's core. According to the myth, a world tree holds up the world. Its roots and branches sustain the Earth, and here at the world tree's roots are where the Kalikansuri perform their diabolical acts. The majority of their year is spent trying to destroy the world tree by chopping at its base and roots. When Christmas arrives, they suspend their attempts to destroy the world tree in order to wreak havoc on Earth. This enables the world tree to recover, preventing the Kalikansuri from ever destroying the world. Several strategies may be used to prevent the Kalikansuri from causing havoc in your home. Hanging a pig's jaw behind a door is one way of keeping these ghouls away. Another is that the Kalikansuri, like many other demons, cannot resist counting things for some reason. If you hang some flax, they will be too occupied counting the fibers to be bothered to come into the home. The Kalikansuri's easiest way to get into the home is through the chimney. Sound familiar? So, the favorite strategy to keep them out is to have a roaring fire going for the 12 days of Christmas. Scandinavia is where our next character hails from, a temper tantrum, butter-loving gnome. A Nissa is a little gnome with a red hat and a white beard, similar to a standard garden gnome. The Nissa live on farms and help farmers with their jobs and chores. On Christmas Eve, all the Nissa asks for is trust, respect, and a bowl of porridge. And that porridge must be loaded with plenty of butter as well. If this does not happen, a Nissa will storm off in a fit of fury. As one story goes, a servant girl decided to pull a practical joke on her farm's Nissa by concealing the butter in the bottom of the porridge bowl. When the Nissa discovered that there was no butter, he stormed to the barn and slaughtered the family cow. When he returned after his act of bovicide, he saw that the butter was in fact in the bowl. He was so overwhelmed with remorse that he stole a cow from a neighbor to replace the one he slaughtered. It was common knowledge that Nissa would steal from their neighbors in order to improve the performance of their own farms. The name Nissa is taken from the Scandinavian form of Nicholas, Nils. A bigger Nissa, known as Yule Nissa, represents Saint Nicholas in Scandinavia. Over time, the domestic Nissa developed into the Yule Nissa, a Christmas gift giver significantly resembling Santa Claus. Still to this day on Christmas Eve, Scandinavians traditionally put buttery porridge in their barns for the Nissa to eat. Iceland gives us a little extra when it comes to bizarre and obscure Christmas characters. Grilla and her band of horrifying cohorts are stuff of Christmas nightmares. In Iceland, misbehaving youngsters get more than just lumps of coal over the holiday season. Instead, they get Grilla, the terrifying fairy tale monster that keeps Icelandic children in line during the holidays and sometimes eats them. Some English language publications refer to her as the Christmas Witch. However, she more closely resembles the Christmas Troll, one of the terrifying man-eating trolls depicted in Icelandic traditional stories. During Yule, Iceland's Christmas season, she is said to emerge from her mountain cave to collect misbehaving children for her and her lethargic and browbeaten third husband, Lepaludi, to cook into a stew. She is said to have eaten her first husband, and irreconcilable differences ended her second marriage. As with many Icelandic trolls, legends disagree on Grilla's physical appearance. However, all agree she is a grotesque, monstrously large creature. According to a nursery rhyme, each of her 15 tails has 100 bags containing 20 children, destined to become a feast for the troll's brood. Another myth claims that she has 40 tails, while a third claims that she carries a bag of babies on her thigh. According to some texts, each of her 300 heads has 3 eyes. Others describe her as having eyes in the back of her head, ears so long they touch her nose, a tangled beard, blackened teeth, and hooves. All of these accounts agree on one point: she is really unattractive, to say the least. Unluckily for the Icelandic children, this isn't where the Grilla story ends. Grilla's children and a pet cat are just as terrifying as she is. Santa is represented in Iceland by the Yule Boys, 13 brothers who leave gifts in children's shoes. However, the Yule Boys were not always so kind. According to mythology, they were born to Grilla and terrified people in their homes by stealing food and causing a nuisance. Each of the Yule Boys had names that reflected their duties, such as candle beggar, pot scraper, door slammer, door sniffer, spoon licker, bowl licker, window peeper, sausage swiper, sky gobbler, and meat hook. According to Icelandic poetry, there was also Goligok, who stole cow's milk, and Sheepcoatclod, who came rigid as wood to prey upon the farmer's sheep. Stubby, the 13th Yule Boy, is often coupled with pot scraper. In 1746, Icelandic authorities issued a public edict prohibiting parents from scaring their children with these and other monsters. This marked the beginning of the Yule Boys' transition into benevolent Christmas figures, as they took on Santa Claus's traits. Okay, so Grilla's children aren't that bad compared to her, but her pet cat is. The Yule Cat, Grilla's pet, was equally as violent and considerably more indiscriminate in selecting mischievous children. The Yule Cat is a gigantic feline that prowls the icy hills in Icelandic legend. During the holiday season, he stares into warm homes in search of lazy youngsters. The Yule Cat believed that if children performed their chores diligently, their parents would reward them with new clothing. Therefore, he would kill and consume any child wearing old clothing. The Yule Cat did not differentiate between those who were lazy and those who could not buy gifts. Before Christmas, it was essential for Icelanders to wear brand new attire from head to toe. Fearing that the Yule Cat would capture them if they did not make new clothes for themselves and their masters, farm laborers wove day and night to create new clothing for themselves and their employers. Some individuals believe that the tale of the Yule Cat was created to motivate farmhands to work harder over the holidays. If this was a list of horrifying characters of Christmas past, Krampus would top the chart. In the past few decades, Krampus has developed from a relatively minor character of Central European folklore to a pop culture phenomenon and worldwide emblem for Christmas cynics. The mythology of the Christmas demon has traversed the globe with the help of the internet, and we are doing our part. With his horrifying horned visage plastered on everything from wrapping paper to ugly Christmas sweaters, Krampus has become a veritable holiday business in recent years, the focus of countless holiday horror films. However, Krampus's recent overexposure has done little to diminish his terrifying origin tale. On the night of December 5th, or Krampusnacht, anyone unfortunate enough to face the Christmas demon will confront a monster that is the devilish counterpart of St. Nicholas. Krampus, a massive half-goat, half-demon beast with a big tongue, swings a rusty chain and bells. Armed with birch whips, he beats mischievous youngsters before hauling them to hell. According to several versions of the legend, Krampus devours or drowns these unruly children. Krampus was prohibited by German and Austrian authorities throughout the majority of the 20th century because of his clear similarity to depictions of Satan. The return of Krampus in the 21st century, however, is celebrated with chaotic parades known as Krampuslauf, in which revelers dressed in elaborate Krampus costumes march through the streets of Austria, Germany, Slovenia, Hungary, and the Czech Republic. There are those that theorize that Krampus is the origin of the Santa story, believe it or not. When you feel warm and fuzzy this Christmas after huge meals, time with family, and a multitude of presents, give a huge thanks that you live in these times of modern history. At least nothing is trying to eat, kill, or make a stew out of you. Have a Merry Christmas! For more videos on the most amazing forgotten parts of our history, be sure to subscribe to the Intrigued Mind channel. Like the video and leave your suggestions in the comments below.